evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Park Lane Podcast, episode number 58. I am back. Everything has been restored. We're back to normal. You don't have to put up with Harry hosting the entire show, which was wonderful. So thank you about that, Harry. But, we're top of the league. What more can we ask for? It's international break, and we are boiling piss up and down the country. Anyway, I'm joined as always with my two incredible co-hosts, and we'll start with you, Harry. How you doing, buddy?
I'm very good, thank you. It's good to be here, back again after hosting the show last week. It's a very good one. I'm hoping you didn't listen back because you were mentioned a few times, I'm afraid, but no, it's a good one. So we're winding up our own co-hosts, and as you said, fan bases up and down the country is great to see. Top of the league, international break. I hate the international break, but at least we're top of the league this time, so it is bearable.
Exactly. And Callum, how you doing, buddy? You good?
Yeah, I'm all good, mate. It's nice to be living in everyone's head for free, as always. It's been very comical with all the Arsenal fans going, yeah, we're joint top with you. Yeah, but look at the table. We're actually ahead of you. So suck on that.
Thank you.
Suck on that. I love that. Incredible. Before we get into it, just got to do all the usual stuff. So if you're listening on any podcast platform, do not forget to follow us and leave us a 5-star review. If you're watching live on YouTube or in the future on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. Every single subscription helps. It's free to do so. And make sure you hit that like button as well. If you are watching live, though, get your comments in the comment section and we will read them out. We did a little thing on Twitter earlier about getting some of our followers' questions and things like that. So we're going to kick off straight away with that after I kind of go through a few of the comments that are there. So evening to Jay. So good evening, panel. I have a question for you all, which I will answer in a minute. Barney's here. So good evening, Luke. Evening, Harry. Looking forward to the show. And then he also said evening to you, Callum, too. So if there is anybody else in the chat, get your comments in and we'll read them all out. Right. Might as well kick off then with Jay, as he's put his comment first in the chat. And he said, I have a question for you all. Who would you want in the January transfer window and your favourite Spurs player at the moment? So, Harry, start off with you. It's a double question. So who do you want in the January transfer window and who's your favourite Spurs player at the moment?
Good question. I'm going to kind of answer one and kind of be annoying with one. In terms of favourite player, for me, it's difficult at the moment because it's hard not to like anyone. But at the moment, for me, it's got to be someone like Vicario or Maddison. Vicario, for me, sticks out just because of how quickly he was dismissed. But bless you, very quickly, really, really drawn to Van der Ven recently as well. So it changes every week. It's someone different, but James Maddison, I think, on and off the pitch is what you're after in terms of a true professional, great athlete, great sense of humour. So for that reason, I'm going to go James Maddison. January really does depend on injuries. At the moment, it doesn't feel right to be sitting here as a Spurs fan going, do you know what? I don't actually think we need that much in January, but injuries could completely change that. And the reason you can't really answer that, because if we get Maddison injured, then we probably need to go out there and sign a creative midfielder potentially. Or if we get an injury in defence, then we need to go out there and sign a centre-back. So it really does depend. I'd love to take the likes of Ivan Toney, but there'll be clubs at Arsenal and Chelsea as well interested. So yeah, not sure about the January run, but favourite Spurs players, quite a few, but I'm going to go with James Maddison.
Lovely. And Callum, coming to you next. Who do you want in January to start off with?
I was a big against this a little while ago in Ivan Toney, but I really would like him. Yeah, Ivan Toney. I think that really we do. I really think we do need a striker now. I'd go for him, or I'm probably like H, maybe another centre back. I think that is one position we're one injury short of a crisis, unless you put our faith in the youngsters and all that, which could be a good breakout season for someone. So, yeah, I'd say a striker would definitely be for me because, I mean, based on the chances in that Luton game, yeah, we need someone who can actually shoot on target and get a couple of goals for us.
Definitely. And who's your favourite Spurs player at the moment?
It's got to be between Udogie or Maddison. I think it's so nice to have someone at left back who we can actually rely on now. And I emphasise left back, not left wing back, not left full back, just a left back who we can trust. But to actually have someone like Maddison as well being creative player is great. And it's one of them ones when I kind of think if Kane had still been here, how much different it would have been if them two were playing together. But Maddison stepped up and taken it. So I think, yeah, Madders has got to be my number one for it at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. I think I have to agree with you there. I have to eat my hat with that. I think that James Maddison has been an absolutely outstanding signing. And, all of the things that I thought about him as a footballer, as a person, and everything like that, are turning around because I think he looks sensational. He looks like a genuinely nice human being. He looks like he does have his head in the game, and I can't give him any faults whatsoever. I think Van der Ven has been sensational. I think, as you say, Udogie has been brilliant. I think Pedro Porro has turned into that inverted fullback incredibly well. I could go through every single player in that team, to be honest. But going to go with Maddison. It's a pretty easy cop-out answer, but it's the most sensible one, I think. And then who would I sign in January? I think 100% Ivan Toney needs to be bought without a shadow of a doubt. Because if we don't, Arsenal buy him, I think, and I think that could be, that could be the turning point of a team like that winning the Premier League potentially. But I've been talking about this for a long time, and I still think it's something that we need to keep our eye on, which is Jota, in the ex-Celtic player who now plays in Al Hilal, I think, in the Saudi, or doesn't play in the Saudi league. From what I've been reading, he's been left out of the entire squad this season. Must be due to maybe international players or something. I don't know the exact rules because I try and steer well clear of the Saudi league, but I just think we discussed it actually, Kallum, a few times in our group chat, and I said, the reasons why I wanted him, and fair play, you gave some very good reasons why not. But now with the injuries to Perisic and also to Solomon, I think that position as well is somewhere that we need to look at. But you could have an argument, whereas if we buy Ivan Toney, you could stick Son back out on that side, and then you've got Son and Richarlison who can play there. So, I wouldn't be adverse to another centre-back. I don't see it happening unless we get rid of Eric Dyer, which I don't think we do. I think he goes in a free transfer in the summer. But yeah, they would be my picks for that. Quickly, Kallum, do you have any more thoughts on that Jota signing now the injuries have come?
Yeah, I definitely think that someone of Jota's ilk would be a welcome addition. I don't know whether Jota would be my number one choice because apparently one of the issues with him out in Saudi has apparently been attitude. And I know he played for Ange, but I don't know if he's the right answer. But yeah, I definitely think a left-sided midfielder or a left-sided forward is definitely something that would have to be entertained, because if you do let Perisic go in January, like a lot of sources are saying, where he could go to Hajka Split, that's one option down. You're literally left with Son or Richarlison out there, with Solomon being out injured. So unless does he give Brian Hill his chance, which would be a very good question for the coming sort of, I think, is it the next 4 games and then we've got another international break or something like that again? So
I think it's less than that. It's about 3 or 4, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that is a chance for him to step up and give it a go. You've still got Sessegnon, who can play as a left winger, but I reckon his career...
Is he not injured again?
Well, he's meant to be coming back now and training, but I guess, I mean, he's still only... He's younger than me. He's only 22 or 23. And I don't think he actually... I don't know whether he has any knees anymore or any legs at all on him, because he's been injured so many times with his hamstring. So that's your option. He actually did well at Fulham. And to be fair, if we threw it out there, Barney would probably say how well he did do in his one season in the Prem with them and the Championship. But how many chances can you give someone? What he signed in the last window that Poch was here?
Yeah.
And look how that's gone. So
I think Fulham will take him back in January as well.
Yeah, but for how much do you reckon, H? 5 million max?
Yeah, barely
under 10 million. Yeah, it won't be a lot.
Yeah. And we paid nearly 30 for him at 19. We make too many losses on these players. Every player we buy, we overpay, and then they turn out to be scouted wrong or bought wrong in the one capacity or another, and then we make such a huge loss on them.
But what baffles me, sorry to jump in, what baffles me is then people say that we don't spend money when look at, we chuck in the money for Lo Celso and Ndombele, Sessegnon, and they haven't worked out. So, you've got to look at, for me anyway, that side of the argument where when we chuck money at it, it actually hasn't worked.
Well, that's the thing. When you think of undercover signings that we pay little to no money for, I mean, I know everyone slates Dyer, but for 5 million from Sporting, he was very good when he was playing as like a CDM alongside
lots of appearances.
Yeah, he's got probably the most appearances in our squad now, apart from maybe Lloris or Son. So I mean, you've got that Danny Rose and Walker. They were 5 million to 10 million each. I mean, when you think Walker was meant to be the worst one compared to like Carl Norton, I
remember that. Yeah.
Now, look how that happened. So I mean, when we spend money, we spend it, but we spend it wrong. A lot of stuff under Steve Hitchin went wrong when he was director of football. Some of the stuff under Paul Mitchell was a lot to be desired as well. And then we've wasted money like 30 million on Enkodu and NG in the last like 10 years. So I mean, where are they now? I think they're in Turkey and all that. Same with Sanchez, 42 million, and we sell him for 15 million euros to Galatasaray. So definitely we do spend money, we just spend it wrong. That's the problem.
100%. Jay has said that he's going for Ivan Toney in January, and his favourite player at the moment is Maddison and Son. Johnny has said Toney if we don't want him, just like Arsenal didn't want Maddison.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for that.
Barney has said Toney would be a terrific Spurs signing. Maddison is my current player who's been really impressed me at Spurs so far this season. Jay's coming with all the questions today. So here we go. What are your favourite kits out of the three that we have?
This one. There you go. There's your answer.
You're such a boring
looking one.
Bastard.
Mate, you look like you're covered in charcoal.
I like the classic white. Do you know what? I'm going to go for this one, mainly because the fit on it is like really nice, but I don't know if it's just because of the copy one that I bought, probably a bit small. But
is that the away kit?
Third kit.
Yeah, I think it's the away one I don't like at all. I can't make up what.
The other one that I've got, the blue one.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Do you know what? That is good, though, because the cockerel on it is iridescent. So it kind of like looks different colours depending on which angle you're looking at in the light.
Yeah, but Aston Villa said that about their shirts, and it looks like you're on a wet t-shirt contest each time that you're playing it. So I mean, it kind of a weird cockerel effect. Just have a cockerel on a shirt. It's our club logo. Just don't overcomplicate stuff. Keep it simple, or don't do it at all.
Definitely. I would ask Harry if he was actually here. There he is. If you could stay with us, Harry, that'd be lovely. Which is your favourite kit?
Good question. Probably the one that you've got on now. But I must admit, when they came out, I was a bit disappointed. I don't think they've been up to the standard for me anyway in recent years. But lots of people will disagree. I know lots of people like them this year. So, what do I know? I think I quite like the home kit, but it's always similar. And I'm not keen on the away kit at the moment.
No, fair enough. Barney said I missed Sessegnon. He was such a good player for us. He did very well for us. For those that don't know, Barney's a Fulham fan, so put that into context. It's always good, I think, for those that can't see what's happening. Let's see what else people said. Jay said third kit. I'm saying don't like the collar on the away kit. So there we go. And then Barney has also said my favourite Spurs kit is the third one. So excellent. Do you know what? I don't mind Kallum, that white one. I don't mind a white kit. I don't like the red AIA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People say, oh, yeah, well, that's, logo or whatever, but it's not that. It's not red on this one. Do you know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been red on the white ones, hasn't it? I think. And it's the same with, I think H has got the blue, the alternate kit behind him as well, haven't you? So that's white on. You got the white one, and then you got the. Yeah, I don't like AIA as a sponsor, to be honest. I think it's way too big for what it is. I want it to just be a football shirt, but they're the sponsors, so I mean, you kind of have to go along with it. And they always say that these shirts are lined up years in advance. However, they don't just bring it out the year before and decide it. They've got all the designs made up about 4 or 5 years in advance, based on the contract length. So it's
Nike are awful though, aren't they? Like, they probably pay the most amount of money, but they're awful. As much as I hate Arsenal, Adidas probably produce the best kits. So I'm going to say.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of an Adidas sort of person, to be honest, even in just normal clothing compared to Nike. So yeah, I'd probably back you on that one, mate.
Really?
Yeah. Mark Cousins has said, big up, lads. I never buy home kit because of the red. My favourite is the third kit. There's a lot of people that dislike the red. Do you know what it is as well? Like, I just don't like. I've got so many Spurs white kits. I want a bit of flair. I want a bit of.
So different, yeah.
Do you know what the thing I'm sorry to cut across you, like the one thing I miss having on mine is all the Champions League badges and all that. Having all the Champo stuff, it is just a different aspect to it compared to this kit being quite plain, because you can't really modify it based on this year, can you, to say the least?
I don't know. You could put a pre-season cup on it, couldn't you, I suppose?
Oh, which one? Which one?
Oh, you might as well keep living the Audi Cup dream. That's probably the best, isn't it?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. That goes down well.
Anyway, move on to some more questions. So Alan on Twitter said, how many games will Spurs lose this season? Bear in mind, we're still unbeaten. So, Harry Scarf, how many games will you lose this season?
This is going to be tough, because I'm typically being negative, but at the same time, we're playing really, really well at the moment, and I can't see us losing anytime soon. 6, maybe 7 I'm at the moment, I think, which I don't think would be awful.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I had 7 in my mind, so I don't think that's being too pessimistic. Yeah. I don't actually know like how many we lost last season, to be honest, but
too many.
Too many.
Yeah, too many. Yeah, it's got to be more than that, surely. Kallum,
I'm gonna say between 7 and 10. I think, just to be fair to them, they've got to have a chance to play, and we can't. What was Johnny's prediction for Arsenal? Yeah, I'd say 7 to 10, mate. I think, just to be a safe bet.
Yeah, it's a strange old thought process, isn't it? How many games will we lose? Like when we're on the bench, we have.
I've never thought about it. I never thought about that. Old.
I mean, I would say that we'd definitely get more points against a couple of top 6 sides this year compared to how we did last year, but I reckon, based on like how we have played against Sheffield and Luton, I'd say we might struggle against the lower sides, whereas we actually did all right against them last year within reason. So maybe more draws than losses potentially, because we just can't.
We're better to do how many points we think we're going to get come the end of the season. That's the way I would do it. I think that's easier, because you tend to think about points more and the how many points you think you're going to get than losses, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of proven that if you get like sort of 62 to 64, you're kind of guaranteed top 5 and above. And
well, that's rubbish, because we got 60 points to finish 8th.
Oh, yeah, it's based on
how many did Bournemouth get?
Huh?
How many points did fourth get?
71 with Newcastle.
Wow.
How many points do you reckon we're getting?
My initial thought was 70. That was my initial thought when you asked how many points. But I had no idea how many got you what.
Really bold. Arsenal got 84 last season. I think we're getting close to that. I'm going to go with 81.
81.
Ooh. Big, isn't it?
I'll probably go with Barney, 75, I'd say, roughly.
Okay.
Change your tune, Harry, from pre-season. I'll give you that.
I know, right? Someone said the buzz for the season's gone.
Yeah. How many points will we get in the first 3 games? I think we discussed early on. And
what did I say?
Well, no, I think you said 0. To be frank,
I didn't say 0.
You didn't go very favourable on that, but someone will listen back, I'm sure, and tell us, or probably not. But let's have a look, see what Johnny's saying now. He said, well, these predictions for both of us, Spurs dependent if we get no injuries, especially you. Saliba injury, or for you, or Romero, and we're but we'll go back to the Twitter questions. So Thomas on Twitter, big up to you, Thomas. Complicated question. I said, the African Cup of Nations is coming up in January. What position do we need to strengthen, and who could we bring in? So, I'll go to you, Callum. Do you think that it is essential that we bring somebody in for African Cup of Nations, where, bear in mind, there aren't that many games during January, that I believe, in the Premier League, and, the players who are playing could go out early doors?
I think I said about this a couple of weeks ago that I was quite concerned. Now, when you guys have brought it to my attention of how little games we do have and the setup there is, Senegal and Mali, they've got good players, but they're not great teams, sort of thing. So there's a good chance they will go out early doors within the first couple of rounds. So I think based on African Cup of Nations, no, I don't think you need to bring in another midfielder. But if you do lose someone like Højbjerg or a Skip who decided they want to leave based on first team football minutes, then you'd have to replace them because your options are limited. You'd have Bentancur back hopefully by then if his injury time goes well, and hopefully he'll have some minutes under his belt. But only if a transfer goes through, then I would say that you need to do a replacement. That's about it, mate. If not, leave the midfield area alone. They're playing well, apart from Basuma acting like an idiot last weekend. That's about it.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're right. I think with Basuma and Sarr, going, I think that you have pretty much ready-made replacements. As much as I dislike Højbjerg, he could fit in for a few games into that position and play Basuma's role. And Skip could come in and play in Sarr's role. Bentancur can come in, or whatever it might be. I think we've got enough. I think we're all right. I think we'd be silly if we sold Højbjerg in January, but I think if we would, it would be to bring in the likes of Gallagher or someone like that, because I know that Ange's
Gallagher would never ever come to Tottenham. I promise you, never come to Tottenham. Chelsea won't do business with Tottenham. Even if they do, there'll be Tottenham tax on it. I can't see them letting him go for less than, I'm serious, 35 to 40 million, and Spurs just won't pay that when you can save a lot of money, go younger, and put trust in
you. You sell Højbjerg for 20 mil, then you're
no, I wouldn't let Højbjerg go, a proven winner and a star internationally and for the club, more than 40 million. I think he's a 40 million. Yeah, at least. I said it this summer. I sat on here and said I think we would have got it as well. We could have got it for all we know. I think that, well, if I'm being nice, Luke, I'd sit here and go 50, but then people just laugh. So 40 is more realistic. So if you get 40 million for Højbjerg, then even I would sell. And I think that's saying something. He's a 40 million player.
Callum?
I think based on value, overinflated. But he has only got 2 years left on his contract. So if you are going to sell, you're going to sell this January or next summer and all that based on it to make sure you do get some residual value. So yeah, I think when you look at all the speculation there was in the summer that he's going to go to Atletico or go to Saudi, the fees that were being talked about were nowhere near 40 or 50 million. They're closer to 20 to 25 million, and that's not in pounds, that was in euros and all that. So the conversion rate is pretty bad. But I mean, yeah, going on what H said for Gallagher, yeah, you're probably looking at 30, 40 million based on the England tax. And he's captain of Chelsea at the moment. He's been playing captain week in, week out for him the last couple of games. And apparently he's enjoying playing for Poch. So I doubt he'll come across. But maybe someone like O'Reilly from Celtic, someone who Ange knows quite well. He went from MK Dons up to Celtic, went and become quite a robust, dynamic midfielder who can do a bit of sweeping, bit of attacking as well, and can run through the lines. Well, we could get him for 10, 15 million. Or who's the Japanese midfielder as well that they've got up there? Is it Hatata or something like that Ange bought in? So someone maybe like that. I mean, you've got to just trust Ange. If Ange wants the players, then you back him, as long as the price is right.
I think in 8 games, he's proven that, already, to be quite honest. And I wouldn't put many players past coming and playing for Ange under what we've heard the current news signings have said about how convinced they were for playing for Spurs based on a conversation with Ange alone.
Yeah, did you guys see the interview with Van der Ven this week while he was on international duty about how Liverpool and Bayern were both snooping around, and based on Spurs scouting and then obviously the conversation with Ange, that's how it's been. It's the same with Vicario. Doggy has come out and said about him having a conversation, even though he was already at the club, about it as well. So the guys feel comfortable there. It's just some of the older squad who are sort of not seeing what they want to based on if they're in their prime or something like that, who may have negatives, but even they haven't said much about it. So people are actually keeping quiet.
Yeah, definitely. But let's move on to Barney's question. So Barney also in the chat as well, but he said on Twitter, slightly different this question, but going back over our past meetings against Fulham, what encounters stand out to you in what you've seen? Any epic games or individual displays that really stood out? So not only am I testing your prior Spurs knowledge about games, I'm now testing you about games against Fulham alone.
Oh, yeah, I'll go one.
You've got one. Okay, we'll go with H. Go with H first, because you
I could be wrong, but wasn't it, excuse me, something like Harry Winks in the cup against Fulham? Craven Cottage got like a late winner or something. I seem to remember.
That was mine. That was mine.
Oh, was it? Take that. I was watching it on TV. Wasn't it someone like Onoma, maybe? The Kudu, maybe, I think, crossed it.
Kodu running up the left wing and all that, and then crossing it in.
That was it, yeah. And then the celebration. So, yeah, Barney, that is probably the one for me. I went to the 2-1, I think it was last season against Fulham. But I don't actually remember our goals. I remember Fulham's goal. I think it's through Mitrovic. It was a volley that hit the ground and went in. A really good goal. Fulham were unlucky not to come away with anything. But, yeah, the Harry Winks one stands out to me. Barney says they're going to win 3-2. Wow. That's bold.
Yeah, to be honest, mate, it's not one of them fixtures that's kind of stood out to me that much over the years. And it's no disrespect to Fulham. It's just they've always been either low-scoring games or draws that I've never really paid attention to. But like H said, that last minute sort of winner with Encoder and Winks linking up was sort of the one thing that comes to mind. Apart from Mitrovic always somehow scoring against us, that's been about it. He's always done it for Newcastle and then did it for Fulham.
Yeah. I'm going to be honest with you. I cannot remember a single Fulham game at all. Not one.
You don't remember that Winks goal?
Nope. Don't remember anything. It's such an irrelevant fixture to me. No offense to Barney, but I don't remember a single interesting moment against Fulham. But interestingly, obviously we lost against them in the League Cup. Prior to that, it was let's have a look. There was 3 wins for Spurs in a row, then a draw, followed by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins for Spurs, and then a Fulham win. So you have to go all the way back to 2013 to see a win against Fulham in the Premier League, and that was a home fixture. So, yeah, Barney just said it himself. He said, to be honest, our record against Spurs isn't good. Oh, there we go. We haven't beaten you in 10 years, 2013. So I'm going to, claim that knowledge as my own and not Google's. But anyway, thanks for that. Very interesting question, Barney. But anyway, let's move on to why everyone's here. And that's, will Spurs win the Premier League this season? It's early doors. We're 8 games in. We've not lost a game. We've drawn against Arsenal. We've beaten United. We've beaten Liverpool. We've beaten the teams at the bottom of the table. We've beaten everybody, bar the draws, in front of us. Can we win the league, Callum? Can we?
I would love to say we can, but not this year. Not this year.
Okay. Do you remember what league position you'd given us, Callum, to finish this season?
I think I put sick, didn't I?
I would say probably, yeah. I can't remember the exact one. It's not a test.
Mine was 9th.
But Callum, has your mind changed about that league position?
Yeah, I'm going to go 3rd or 4th, I think, this year.
Woohoo! It's getting tasty.
Yeah, I reckon City, Arsenal, Spurs, Newcastle, maybe.
So no Liverpool in the top 4?
I think their legs will fall apart. I think something about them doesn't seem comfortable in that camp at the moment. Even the Trent interview on the England duty said about stuff that was quite weird about not knowing what positions they play in and all that stuff. So it was really, really quite daunting to say. But I could be wrong. So I will. I don't care about Liverpool. It's no disrespect to them, but Spurs are my club. I don't care where they finish as long as we get where we need to be in the league.
Amazing. We're going to come back to that as the season goes on and see if our predictions, go up and down depending on how we get on. Barney said Spurs won't win the league, but you will finish in the top 4. And then Johnny said something about Arsenal's midfield. That's why they didn't beat us and so on and so forth. Some more bullshit excuses. No offense, Johnny.
Been banging that drum for weeks.
I know, yeah. It's like fucking, it's like talking about that flipping offside goal that happened in the 35th minute or whatever happened, and then Liverpool didn't win the game, but they had 2 players sent off. Anyway, they'll talk about that for the next millennium. But Harry, will Spurs win the league?
Oh, listen, I'd love to hear sit and say yes. I'm not going to sit here and say no because I'm enjoying it at the moment. And for the first time in years, Monday mornings are actually enjoyable, especially when we've won. And something, it's not just, Luke, that we're winning the top of the league. It's the way we're doing it in terms of our convincing performances, our incredible dramatic late scenes and comebacks, which are memories that honestly do last a lifetime. I wasn't there for Sheffield United. My family were, but I was there for Liverpool. That was excellent. That just makes your whole week. Like that is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, I really, really would love to sit here and go yes, but I think that we're too early into the project. But if you'd like, I can predict top 4, top 6.
Okay, fair enough. So we're going.
Do you want me to predict it? Top 4, top 6. Do you want me to predict?
Yeah, I want a prediction. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you do. Perfect. It doesn't look likely, if I'm being honest, at this moment in time. But I think Manchester City is still too strong. Get Rodri back, get De Bruyne back, and they're still unstoppable for me. So I think they'll win the league. Liverpool, I think, will be second. I think they'll be a couple of points off. City, I think, will be down to the final day again. I think Liverpool are really good this season. I don't think Arsenal are all that this season. I'm going to be very, very bold. And third, I'm going to go with somehow with a miraculous turnaround. Sadly, I'm going to go Chelsea. I think they're going to get third. I think Aston Villa as well. I think that they're the real deal under Emery are going to go fourth, and I think we'll finish fifth. And no Newcastle, you may have noticed. I don't think Newcastle will finish in top six. There you go.
Well, okay.
Very bold predictions in there.
Yeah. Now, do I think Spurs can win the league? Everyone knows me. You know that I'm, very optimistic. Part of me thinks we can. Part of me thinks we can.
Oh.
Do you know what? I tweeted very shortly after Harry Kane left Spurs, and I said, maybe Harry Kane was the curse all along. And there was a little bit of kind of logic to that in the sense of when Harry Kane was at Spurs, he was absolutely prolific, right? I'm not saying that we're better without Harry Kane, but everybody is always trying to find H, right? He was the one getting the ball up, picking it out wide and so on and so forth. Now what we have are 11 players playing together. They're playing cohesive, attacking, enjoyable football that everybody feeds off. So if one's making a run, the other one will cover spaces. They're always looking to pick passes to try and pull one out on the other. I could just see it happening that as soon as Harry Kane leaves, Spurs do something. But I don't think we win the league. I think, just like you guys, I think it's just too early. Do I see Ange winning the league for Spurs? I would not put it past him whatsoever.
No, I can see that.
At all. I think, a couple more windows with with better players. I think without a main striker, I think we do struggle. But yeah, I think
top four has got to be the aim this season. And even if somehow we don't get that, I mean, not being funny, but sitting here right now, it doesn't feel right saying that, thinking that we, I don't know, may finish, for example, outside the top four doesn't feel right. But if we somehow do, because the others are improving, and we're still very early into the project. For me, I want to get to the real latter stages of the FA Cup to make up for the League Cup and potentially win it. And then next season we look in the league. But at the same time, Luke, if we are going to win the league or we are going to challenge, this year it's better to do it the next year because there's no Euro.
Yes.
So in a way, although there's no expectation, we can't turn around. When we're in a title fight with Arsenal, lose it and go. You can't. I suppose they're very deep into their project and a lot of windows into their project, but they have been playing European football. Probably Arsenal isn't the right example because, sorry, Johnny, you won't like this, but they've got a Conference League, Europa League group. But someone else that's got a proper group, not some kind of really amateur group. That there is no excuse, no Europe. That's why I don't get why you rest players against Fulham. But it's in the past. I'm going to have to move on from that eventually.
I think you are, mate.
Do you guys reckon if we don't sign players in January that we will fall away?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, it depends on injuries though. If you say that one of our centre backs gets injured or one of our midfielders gets injured, we fail to replace. Absolutely, yes. One player and that one big player in that whole team, sadly, it does kind of fall apart.
I think so. I think that we have to build on this, and I think we have to. I think if we go into the January transfer window and we go in first or second, then Daniel Levy and the board, they have to invest and they have to say, Ange, who do you want? What is going to bring what you want? This man was born for the rebuild, and I think if he wins the league with us, I think he goes shortly after. I think it's as simple as that. He's the kind of guy that that wants a continuous challenge.
Do you reckon he'll want the Liverpool job?
I could see him at City.
After Pep.
Based on things like the City group and things like that, I think there's a lot. I
can see him at Real Madrid as well.
Wow, Real Madrid. Oof. You're going up there now. This is a guy that you didn't even want, Harry.
I didn't want, but I didn't use the hashtag. I wasn't against it, you see. So although I said he wasn't my first choice, and I probably sat here and yes, I can own up to that absolutely and say that he definitely, I didn't want him at the time. That was purely, I'm going to be honest with you here. I dismissed him based on, how far he was into his career and the fact that I hadn't really heard of him So that was it for me, really. Lack of research, very, very, very poor mistake from me. So I'm very happy to be proven wrong. But mainly I'm happy that the people who, like I said, use the hashtag no to Ange, because that's nothing but entitlement. And I don't like that. A club that hasn't won a trophy since 2008, that shouldn't be that level of entitlement, but is what it is. So I'm just glad to see them, more than anyone, prove wrong.
Exactly. Run quickly through some of the comments. So Johnny has said he reckons it'll be City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham 5th.
Don't forget Villa. Villa will be forced until Julian Emery leaves.
So for those that don't remember, so I predicted Spurs finish 5th this season under Ange. I'm going to say 3rd, I think, is realistic, but only time will tell. Barney has said...
I wanted to say 3rd, Luke, but I had to stand by my thing that Aston Villa will get top 4.
City,
tied up.
City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, and then Brighton 4th. Let's have a look. And then Barney's also said Villa will be there or thereabout 5th. Right. Let's move on. Let's quickly talk about Ange Postecoglou again. So the big man's done it 2 months in a row. This Premier League gig is easy, isn't it? You know, absolutely easy. 2 months in a row. We've got manager of the month, and we're absolutely upsetting every single fan base, because not only did Ange win manager of the month, but Son also won player of the month. So for the first 2 months of the season, Spurs have won everything in terms of manager and player awards. So it's Ange and Maddison the first month, and Ange and Son in the second month. Really briefly, Callum, kind of give me your overview on that and how it's upsetting everybody.
Mate, I think it's great. I think that he's actually beaten that manager curse, as we all saw with Nuno, that within winning it the first month and then he got sacked. So it's just great to actually see it. They're being recognised for how well they are playing, and to hear a lot of Arsenal fans saying that Arteta should be winning it and Ange beating him to it is brilliant. So yeah, really great for Ange and all the players to show that they're actually doing something good.
Yeah, I think you have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, right? Spurs are top of the league. Arsenal aren't. You can't give Arteta manager of the month when he's not top of the league. He's just a glorified cone collector, isn't he? But anyway, let's move on to Harry. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's absolutely deserved. And I'm glad. I just want to point out, because it's something that bugs me. We are top of the league, not joint top, because everyone says to me, no, it's joint top. Well, I haven't seen a single table that has Tottenham and Arsenal next to each other. It's Tottenham, then Arsenal, first and second. Congratulations to Arsenal on their excellent start to the season, but they are 4 years into their project. They are about 8 windows into their project. We're at the start of it. This is and we're top of the league, so absolutely deserved manager of the month. We've beaten over the course of the season in both months. We've beaten what's in front of us, including the likes of Man United and Liverpool, and got a draw against Arsenal. So for me, that's good enough. Yeah, Arteta had to be a contender, but Arsenal, they're deep into their project. We're at the start of it, and for me, that's what matters. Oh, shush.
Exactly, and you forgot to mention nearly the £500 million that has been spent as well. But anyway, not that we're counting.
Oh no,
Callum, really quickly, as I know you watched a little bit of this, but could you give us your thoughts on the under-21 team at the moment, because they seem to have gone from basically avoiding relegation somehow last season. They're absolutely on fire at the moment, aren't they?
They've been outstanding, mate. There's a couple of players who were out injured last year. Will Lancashire, Sonset Bell, and obviously then you've got Jamie Donnelly in there. They're all on fire, mate. It's not just the 21s, it's the under 18s as well who are doing really great. And when you think back that one of our best prospects in Mikey Moore signed up to a new 3-year contract a couple of months back as well, to have all of these players coming through, it gives us a lot of hope for the future. And they're not just winning by small margins. Apart from this last game against Bristol, which was a 2-1 win, I think, in one of the cups, they're winning by 3, 4, 5 goals. So it's actually positive. And if we don't go out and sign Tone, maybe one of them strikers could step up. And because we saw Donnelly on the bench the other week, so I wouldn't put it past Ange to give him a chance and all that.
Definitely.
Accordingly.
Do you think, quickly, Callum, and I'll ask you this, H, when you talk about the women's team in a minute, but do you think that this has something to do with Ange Postecoglou and how these ideas and attitudes are being passed down to the coaches of those respective teams, and the systems are being implemented throughout the whole system at Spurs?
Yeah, it's simply from the way that Ange is conducting it is that they're playing in the same way that Ange wants them to play. So they're ready to come into the first team. Compared to when you had Conte, there was a less emphasis on the youth team. It's that the youth coaches had to get them ready to come straight into the team if Conte wanted them. Ange now is working with all the different levels. If players are playing well in the 21s, he brings them up into the first to train. And then he allows them to drop down into the 21s to get game time. Same that he did with Valise a couple of weeks ago. Whereas before, it was literally Conte would call them up and you'd get a 21 player in the first team just doing a bit of training with them. And they was literally glorified cones. So we go back to our cone collector idea of Arteta. That was pretty much our youth players. So, yeah, but now the whole academy structure is aligned to allow the players to progress through into playing Ange's style all the way through, going up from 16s, 17s, 18s into the 21s to then go into the firsts, which is what we want, mate. We want alignment and a clear idea in our club compared to having everything operating differently.
Yeah, 100%. Brilliant. It's good to see them all doing so well. H, talk to me about the women's team because they are also playing good football at the moment as well.
They are. They're absolutely thriving. So I'm really, really impressed with their start to the season. Only 3 games in, but after today's 3-1 win away from home against Brighton at the Amex Stadium, coming from behind as well, by the way, something that Spurs women, have really, really struggled with since becoming professional when they've gone behind to even score in the game, let alone come around. So they kind of broke that bad habit today, which is excellent. And like I said, move inside the top 4. They started the season a really tricky game against Chelsea away from home. Unlucky, lost 2-1, but showed amazing fight and went toe-to-toe with them for 90 minutes. Got the incredible 6-0 cup win, which is really, really good. So progression in the cup this year is important. They beat Bristol quite comfortably. And like I said, coming from home from Brighton, and Brighton, they could do something this season as well. So yeah, for the aim for the women's team this season, we're obviously, because last year they left it very, very late before pulling out of that little relegation battle, if you like. So if they can get a kind of top half finish and maybe somehow push for a European place, that'd be excellent. But yeah, they're making progress, which is great to see. And new signing Martha Thomas looks very, very good. So some great investment. Not much money spent again, but the investment has been, in terms of the recruitment, should I say, has been excellent. And they're, playing some great stuff and now getting performances as well. So yeah, I've been impressed what I've seen so far.
Amazing, and we'll try and keep those of you interested updated with both of those teams, Spurs teams, as the season goes on. Right, let's turn our attention to this weekend's game. Spurs against Fulham at home. It's the Park Lane podcast and Barney Derby. So a little bit of banter between everybody, which is wonderful. But let's have a little chat, Callum, about Fulham, because I did mention earlier on in the show that I can't remember a single Fulham game, which says to me that, I'm not too worried about Fulham. How are you thinking this game is going to go on the weekend?
Is it at Spurs?
First question. Yeah, I'm going.
Yeah, I feel quite confident. We've still got to get a week of internationals out of the way first, so hopefully no unnecessary injuries or people playing when they don't need to. But yeah, I'm quietly confident on this one because I think that even though Fulham are playing some nice football under Silva, they've let their best goal threat go in Mitrovic. And as we know from Vinicius playing for us in the past, he's not great. And Jimenez, he's probably getting to the late stages of his career now. But I think Spurs will have to be switched on. they're going to have to definitely be
Oh, yeah.
aware that Fulham are a good counter-attacking team as well. They have a lot of pace behind them. And don't they have Adama Traore playing for them as well? Have they got Oil Boy down there or something like that?
Yeah,
so,
I think
Not that I know of.
I think so.
Oh,
Let's have a look.
Barney, let us know. I didn't think they did, but go on, it might do. Might have been a late bit of business. Yes, if so, I don't think he's played.
Yeah, no, he
Yeah.
does play for Fulham. So they
Yep.
actually have Oil Boy on their setup.
Maybe
now,
he's
so that's
injured.
fun. Yeah, but no, I reckon it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a lot more memorable as a draw compared to how the other ones have been. So if we come out of it winning, then happy days, mate. Happy days.
Yeah, perfect. Barney has said, I'll be honest, our away form hasn't been good. This is Fulham. We've got to be defensively on our A game. Kallum, what he will say is, from the 6 games I've seen, we can score goals from many areas. So looks like a definite improvement from Fulham. But I think, Harry, when you're talking about Adama Traore, I don't know if he's injured or just he did play earlier on in the season, like very early doors. I'm not sure exactly why he doesn't play, but
He does
I'm not.
pick up injuries, so I suspect he's injured. But Barney, if he can chip in on this, would be great.
Yeah, definitely. I think at home with the crowd back behind us after the international break, I think Spurs should, bar any kind of injury disasters, we should be able to get this one over the line. I think definitely home form is incredibly important this season, as the cliches go, and it's just about kind of keeping that consistency and getting through these games against no offense to Fulham, but kind of a mid-table side, and really getting over the line. You talked about Jimenez, Kallum, and I think unfortunately for him, he's never ever got back to that form since that horrific injury. And I think, unfortunately, it's just one of those things where you probably just a yard off it every time under the, unfortunate, instant that did happen. I think it's very difficult to put yourself 100% in every game. But, only time will tell. But we'll get to our score predictions in a minute. But Harry, what do you think about the Fulham game? I know that you and Barney are good friends, and you've been to Craven Cottage and whatnot. So, are you a little bit scared of this game?
Well, no, I'm not scared. It's just that me and Barney, he had the final say at Craven Cottage when we got knocked out on penalties. Because I ended up seeing him the next day for our tour around Fulham. So I kind of feel like I need to get him back because I'm going to see him before and after the game. So I need revenge, if you like, Barney. But no, listen, no game in the Premier League is easy. Fulham, Barney can relate, are a mild force, if you like, under Marco Silva. He's a good manager, got them playing football. Obviously not as clinical and as threat in front of goal without Mitrovic, but you expect that. Mitrovic is a top striker. So, yeah, you expect that. And then Jimenez, like you say, I don't think he's recovered from that incident, and he's just a yard or two slower to everything and just isn't as confident with his head, where he scored most of his goals for Wolves, which is an absolute shame for him. But still, he will score Fulham goals, just not as much. I think it'd be single figures. Vinicius, I think, will chip in. So, yeah, Fulham, I think that will be their downfall is because I think they create lots of chances and they do well defensively. I think it will be how many they can put in the back of the net. So, I think the scoreline will be fairly comfortable. We must, put our best team out and perform to the best of our ability and leave everything on the pitch, because Fulham will go there looking for a result. Like Barney says, a draw will be an excellent result for Fulham, and they will believe that they can get that as well. So, yeah, we've got to be on it. I think that we obviously win, but I don't think it'll be plain sailing.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to be tough. But a quick question before we move on is, coming back to you, Harry, is what should our front three look like? Because I think the rest of the side should be pretty much, safe.
Yeah.
Who are you going for your front three against Fulham?
Good question. I'd still stick with Richarlison on the left, just because I like to annoy some individuals. But for me, he's yes, he misses chances, but like every other striker does. But it's clear to see there's improvements there. Goal and assist against Sheffield United, and assist against Liverpool. And for me, he looked really, really dangerous against Liverpool. Just couldn't take his chances. Yes, he should have, of course, scored. But I think they'll come over time. As fans, our job is to get behind him and not dismiss him. So I'm going to start him on the left while he's got that confidence. Kulusevski on the right, I think, played his best performance against Luton. Not the biggest fan this season, but it's clear to see he proved it against Luton. Very, very key part of Ange's system. And Son up front, which, again, I wasn't behind, but he's taken to really, really well and looks a lot more dangerous and will get a lot more goals and a lot more opportunities to be the main man in that position. So, yeah, I'd go with that front three. And I personally don't think that there's much you can change with that due to injuries.
Yeah, I think you're pretty much spot on, I would say. The only thing I can see potentially is Fulham sitting back a little bit deeper, which might cause Son some issues. The question is really do you put Son over to the left, put Richie in the middle, where he's probably as ineffective as Son might be with a low block. So it's probably
I think Richarlison looks good on the left, personally. Better on the left, I think. I
don't know. I'm not buying into that idea that he looks that good. I think at times he looks all right. I still think his touch is, for a Brazilian player, these, in the past, Brazilian players had a touch of flair. Their first touches were impeccable. For me, that's the one thing I do see that lets him down a lot, is the ball bounces off him and goes anywhere, rather than the rest of our players seem to be a lot more equipped to deal with that. But Callum, do you see any differences in the starting 11? Or the front three, I should say.
I reckon you got Basuma coming out because he's suspended, so that'd have to be,
of course,
probably Højbjerg for me. I'd probably drop Richarlison, and if Johnson's available, I'd probably give Johnson a go. I think that, I don't know, there's just too much about Richarlison that's uncertain for me. And it's no discredit, but he really does struggle at the moment. I don't know whether you can really trust him to keep playing and missing so many chances. I think maybe dynamic super sub, give him a go and see how that goes.
Yeah, my only worry with Johnson is that, starting a player that's coming back from injury.
Yeah, you don't want to
starting 11. You worry about that. You'd rather bring him on late on and give him a few minutes. But, Ange will decide, and what Ange says goes, I think, is the easiest way to look at it from here on out.
Yeah.
But let's go around the table then and go through our score predictions. So I'll give the score.
You can't change them, though, surely, from last week.
You cannot. But I'll give the score predictions of the guys who aren't here. So Winnie, who is at the NFL today, has gone for a 2-1 Spurs win.
Same as you.
Dave has gone for a 1-1 draw. And Barney has also gone for a 1-1 draw.
That's what I bet he'd say, because he thinks Robbie's going to play.
What are you going for?
I'm sticking with what I said last week, 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs.
No, what was that H originally in the group chat? 3-1
It was a typo. Callum, you need to go to Specsavers.
We'll let him off. Callum, what score are you going for?
2-0 Spurs, mate. 2-0 Spurs.
Perfect. Johnny, your comments are irrelevant. Everyone has more points than Callum. I mean, it's just obvious.
And I am also going for a 2-1 Spurs win. But Callum, I think you got a shot, mate. I think you've got a real shot. Like, the issue with your score prediction, right, or our score prediction, is that between me and Winnie, who have both gone for 2-1, and you have gone for 2-0, like, because there's that one Fulham goal in it, like, I can see the scoreline being around that. And then if you're 2-0 up and we concede late on, you'll be spitting feathers. But
it's all. I would, at the end of the day, mate, we just want Spurs to win. Simple as that.
Yeah.
We want to keep this run going. So it's literally just, it doesn't really matter about the predictions. I just want a win. Yeah. I can't stress it enough. If we go into this period, just say we get 9 points out of the next 12. Yeah. What a run that could be leading up to the Christmas period and all that, mate. And then if we get through that, January's quiet. And then we can actually have this discussion again to see what position we are in the table, whether we are talking about where we're going to be or where we could be.
Yeah, definitely, mate. And I think it's about stamping your authority around this time of the season and really cementing yourself high up in the league. But for those of you who are still interested in how the prediction table is going, it's on the screen now. I'm top with 12 points. Winnie's got 10 points in second. Dave has got 7 points. Harry has now got 6 points after correct score. And Kallum is on 4 points. So all could change. And we could all gain some points advantage over Dave if we do win, because we all went for a win apart from Dave.
Isn't it funny how Dave thinks we're going to smash Luton, but drop 2 points against Fulham? He just can't make his mind up.
Yeah, but I predicted 5-0 against Luton, mate, or 5-1, and only because of Richarlison did that not come true.
Harsh.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the FPL League. Obviously, there's not been much change in the FPL League since last week, but there has been a few changes because obviously when the show goes out, by the time it goes out, sometimes the scores update and everything else. So for those of you still interested, I will go through that with you now. Brainy Paul is top of the league, 497 points. Big Dave from the podcast is second, 483. Winnie is fourth, 482. Oof. I am seventh with 456. So there's a big points gap difference building up now. H is ninth, 433. So there's a 23 points difference between me and Harry. Callum, 369, but you're only you're only 5 points now off Emmanuel, who is in 14th on 374, and only 10 points behind Steve Riformato with 379. So I reckon by the end of next weekend, you're going to be off the bottom. Also, we just had someone new join in, so they're going to go bottom pretty much, I would say. So doesn't really matter.
Callum will finish second from bottom. Oh, Luke, we've got another question in. Someone sent me a question. If you want me to read it out.
Yeah, quickly.
Yeah. It says, interesting to know your thoughts on the rumours of a Qatari takeover now the Man United bid has fallen through. Would you be for or against it?
100% against. Move on. No, I'm not interested in a Qatari takeover whatsoever. I think that we'd be selling our soul to the devil. Pretty much. I'm really not.
I don't think we need it now. I don't think now's the right time because there's a feel-good factor around the club. So for me, it isn't the right time to change ownership. That's all I would say.
Yeah. Callum, what are your thoughts on that idea?
Yeah, I'm not up for a Qatari takeover, and the one fact that a lot of people keep missing out on is that even if Qatari takeover comes, Daniel Levy's already said that he's part of the deal one way or another, that he will stay on as chairman. So a lot of people who have got him on their hit list at the top, he will still remain. So yeah, to be honest, it's one of them. It's so uncertain what you would get out of it, and yeah, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. Unless something's going to happen, it happens. If not, move on, get on with it.
Exactly. And what a way to end the podcast. I want to thank every single person that's tuned in today, everybody that watches on any podcast platform as well. We're absolutely flying in the podcast views and listens. So thank you all very, very much for that. If you're new to the podcast, do not forget to hit the like button. Do not forget to subscribe either. Every subscriber really does help us out, and every follow and every 5-star review on podcast platforms really do help us out. Every view that you have, watch all the way through to the end of the video, and get your comments written in and all that good stuff. But let's go around the table. and say big up to Harry Scarf. Are you on this week, Harry?
What do you mean on this week?
You have a YouTube channel, right?
It's your podcast.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. If you completely blank, then if you want to follow me, you can there. Harry Scarf 22. Yeah, I've got a show this week. Not the week after because we face Fulham. But yeah, tomorrow I've got a show joined by James Black. All the excellent songs, Basuma, etc. But the main one, I'm loving Big Ange instead. So we'll be playing that for him, a little surprise. We're talking to him the thoughts behind the song. And yeah, just generally, all your questions put forward to him and all the other guests as well. So it'll be an interesting one because, international break, sometimes there's not a lot to talk about, but it'll be, got James Black on. So it'll be a really, really interesting one. So don't forget to tune in. I'm here as well every Sunday, 7 p.m. As well, trying to think of any other update. I'm an admin for a new Premier League page on Twitter recently. That was yesterday. And also I'm an ambassador for a Welsh club, Wrexham, which is good, girls and boys football, which is fantastic. So occasionally we'll make the journey over to Wales and support them with their fundraising, etc., because the values is shared. So yeah, fantastic. Don't forget to subscribe here as well. Park Lane Podcast, because we're not that far off 1K, because I know how much people enjoy listening to me. I know it's not as popular when Luke does it, but all the same, I'm still on it.
Exactly. Thank you very much. Harry, Kallum, how can everyone find you?
At Callum Stubbs 97 on Twitter as usual, mate. Thanks for having me on, and I will be looking forward to the Fulham game next week after this turgid international break, as always.
Exactly. And you can follow me at Luke_Park Lane, but more importantly, make sure you subscribe to Park Lane Podcast and you follow us at Park Lane Pod across all social medias. Now, we should be back next Sunday night at 7 p.m, but I have a sneaky idea of something, which I haven't decided yet. So, watch this space on what may happen. We may be on Sunday, or we may be on Monday, but I will keep you all updated with what happens. So keep an eye on Twitter. We'll let you know exactly what happens. Either way, we will be here next week.
Luke hasn't planned it.
Same place, everywhere else.
We're clueless. We don't know what's going on. We're confused.
You've got to keep the people on their toes. You've got to keep people on their toes. But yeah, make sure you always here. Stay tuned in. And thank you all very, very much for watching. Good night, everyone.
Go,